What is up, everybody, and welcome back to The Intern. Today is who has decreased their value over the offseason. Last week we had a who increased their value over the offseason. Today is who decreased their value over the offseason. This one's going to be a little interesting because I don't think that as much people decrease their value. It's more that situations was taken from them, and then we have to kind of base it off of that. So this one's going to be interesting. We're kind of looking at a dynasty perspective. I wouldn't say redraft as much, but this is going to be a fun video. So let's get started with. Make sure to join the community over at the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Obviously over here we have tons of fantasy kind of community based tools that can help you. If you want to see my rankings for Dynasty and my rankings for Redraft, you have to be a pro member. You can do that down in the description below. If you just want to look at the first free 20-person rankings list, you can also do that as well. But we have football season started, kind of hit off crazy this past week, basketball and also baseball. So make sure to go check that out. I'll be there. If you have some questions, you can ask me. I'll answer them myself. But yeah, let's just get started with Zach LaVine being the first one. The interesting thing with Zach LaVine is that I think this one's an obvious one. You look at the Bulls. Obviously, when you're thinking of a long-term kind of stand, he's not going to stay on the Bulls forever. He is going to leave the Bulls. It's now just, when is he going to leave the Bulls? Is it going to be one more time? Is it going to be throughout throughout his contract? Is it going to be maybe a trade before the season starts? Maybe during the season? Whatever it might be, Zach LaVine is probably on his way out. Now, it kind of gets this interesting thing where I say a lot on the channel, when you're on worse teams, it does better fantasy-wise. Let's be honest here. Why do you think LaMelo, Scotty, and all these other players look disgusting and look amazing in stat-wise? They're the leaders of those teams. When you're not on a high-end team, it usually works out better. That's why kind of crazier, smaller players will go off randomly. Why Malachi Flynn is going off for the Pistons. Zach LaVine is in this weird spot where he could do that for the Bulls next year, but at the same time, he's probably going to leave the team, which will then make him probably the third star for a team. And do you want a Tobias Harris for the price of a Zach LaVine? I don't think so. So Zach LaVine's kind of in this weird area where I don't think you can really trust the future with him. Up next, we have OG Anunoby. When you look at the Knicks, there's really, I say, four main guys on there that makes this team so elite. Brunson's your number one. 2 is a toss-up, but I think it's Mikal Bridges. I think that's the 2 there. 3 is Julius Randle, who potentially could be leaving. Julius Randle has been having these weird kind of epiphanies recently on Instagram. And then OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby coming from the Raptors to the New York Knicks was very interesting. Getting the deal he wanted, everything around it. It was just interesting because when he goes to the Knicks, I don't think he wanted somewhere that he could get paid one, but also play as an all-star. I don't think you're going to get that with the Knicks, in my opinion. I think this is a guy that's probably going to be kind of their fourth guy there that steps up when he needs to, but you're not going to get the fantasy that you want out of him. He's going to be someone that just helps around with the team. It's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. When it comes to real life, winning, makes a lot of sense. But when you look at fantasy, can't say the same about that one. So OG Anunoby's going to be on the list. Up next, we have Malcolm Brogdon. I think he really decreases value once he got to the Blazers. But going to the Wizards just kills him even more. So you kind of have to add him. I mean, going to the Wizards you're just waiting for him to either get cut or to get traded for like a second. It's just that, and I don't think Malcolm Brogdon is going to be as relevant as he was with, of course, the Celtics. But even he balled out a little bit with the Blazers, really helped that team. He's going to probably just play a vet role that can really help develop the team. I could see him just leaving midway through the season on a trade that he did his duties and now he's going to go for a contender. If you want that on your team, you can have him, but he's probably on his way out just how like a Christian Wood would. Wood. Up next, we have Jalen Green. Now this one's a little bold prediction. I don't think Jalen Green has hurt his value as much, but in my opinion, I think Jalen Green is kind of on a timer or going to have to prove himself. I think this is the year that he has to prove himself. Why is that? There's a reason why they did not give him or Alperen Sengun the max contract. They know they have young talent. They know they want to win now. It's not going to look good if they give him the max contract going to a different team. They want to give Jalen Green, Some money, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't proved to be that max contract worthy, and I think that's what they're worried about, is that they don't want to give a money tag on him because the other teams are not going to like that money tag. So Jalen Green looks like this is a make or break year for him. And I agree that Jalen Green has probably shown that he can at least play basketball. But when you draft Reed Shepherd and he's already looking very efficient, can kind of score, looking like he can play defensively, it's hard to say Jalen Green is not going to feel the pressure a little bit. And, a man in Reed Shepherd could be the future for you while Jalen Green leaves and Fred VanVleet goes on somewhere else. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, Jalen Green's probably a little worried, and I think that takes out a little bit from him. Up next, we have a Jeremy Sohan. The Spurs are kind of developing their talent and really just having the talent grow. But here's the thing for me. I think when you look at this team, there's two people that I think are obviously tradable. One is going to be Keldon Johnson. And now I want to say Keldon Johnson has really dropped his value, but it has dropped a little bit. But I wouldn't say as much as Jeremy Sohan, in my opinion. I think Jeremy Sohan is good. I think he's could be a stud in this league. But the thing is that they brought Jeremy Sohan. They tried to run a point guard formation with him to give him the more playmaking capabilities for this year. Clearly did not work with him and Wemby. So now you're already failed something that they try to set you up as. And to me, Jeremy Sohan is talented enough where he has all-around aspects that, yes, he could be a decent bench piece, but that's not what you probably got him when he was 9th overall in the draft. I could see him being a trade piece to someone to get a young piece, whatever it might be, or to get a contender, which would be good, don't get me wrong. But he's in this weird area where you don't really know if he's going to be in that trade or if he's just going to stay on the bench for the Spurs. And if he's the 7th to 8th man on the Spurs, I don't think that's good value than probably what it was at the beginning of this season. The Spurs are probably going to keep rebuilding. They're going to try and just go one more year. And I think the next year is when they really try hard to try and win. But Jeremy Sohan, maybe it's a developmental year for him. But I'm guessing that this isn't a guy that's 100% stuck on this team. The people that I could say are Wemby, Stephon Castle probably, and Devin Vassell. That's it. Can't say that about the rest. Up next, we have Tari Eason. This is the last one here. Tari Eason is going to be an interesting one. Another Rocket on here. Don't kill me. Tari Eason was somebody that showed out and did very good, in my opinion. He really showed that, I think, in an Ime Udoka offense and just team, that he can really be somebody that works out well for him. What sucks about Tari Eason is that when you look at the Rockets, when a team that wants to win now, having Jabari Smith Jr. already there, having, Cam Whitmore already there, having these guys that are already playing the forward positions, Tari Eason is kind of benched right now and slotted as a bench player. I don't think we see a starter from him. And it's going to be interesting to see, after coming off a season-ending leg injury that supposedly he was going to come back to but never did, how well he's going to do back with the team. It's kind of difficult to see if they would rather have a Dylan Brooks or Jabari Smith Jr. or Cam Whitmore play and get more minutes than a Tari Eason. Because in my opinion, I think they would rather have those three than him. And with that being said, even if they do trade for somebody, Tari Eason either is barely getting thrown in there or he's staying with the new team and he's probably deep in the depth chart still trying to build up and trying to grow. That's just my opinion. But in my opinion, I don't really like Tari Eason entering this new season. That's just what I think, and I think what makes sense the most when you're looking at the Rockets. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.